There is a truth that seems too simple to be believed, a truth so powerful that when you fully accept it, everything in your life changes. That truth is this: your millionaire life has already begun. Not will begin, not might begin someday in the future. No, it has already begun. The moment you dare to accept it as a fact, the moment you live from it, not towards it, everything that matches that life must come to you. The world around you cannot help but conform to the assumptions you hold deeply within. You have been conditioned to believe that success must be earned through long, grueling effort, that money comes only to those who chase it, that wealth is a destination always just a little further down the road. But that is the great illusion. You are not meant to chase anything. You are meant to be. The moment you are, everything that belongs to that version of you begins to gravitate toward you effortlessly. You don't become a millionaire by working harder. You become a millionaire by being one in consciousness. Everything you truly accept as real within yourself becomes real outside yourself. That is not philosophy. That is not motivation. That is law, and law never fails. If you can accept your millionaire life as a current reality, right now, in this moment, it must unfold in the world around you. There are no exceptions. Look around you. What you see today is nothing more than the echo of the state you once occupied. It's a shadow, a reflection of old thoughts, old feelings, old assumptions. But now, in this instant, you can step into a new state, a new version of yourself. And this version is not struggling. This version is not wishing or hoping. This version knows. This version is settled, calm, and confident. This version smiles gently because they know they have already arrived. To the world, it may appear as if nothing has changed yet. But you don't live by appearances anymore. You live by inner vision, inner acceptance. You've let go of the lie that says, "I'll believe it when I see it." No, you now understand you'll see it when you believe it. And belief is not hard. Belief is simply a quiet agreement, a peaceful inner nod that says, "Yes, this is who I am. This is what I have." Your bank account may still show the old numbers. Your environment may still speak the language of your former self. But if you remain faithful to the new you, those old symbols must dissolve. They must yield to the new image held within. Do not fight the old. Do not react to it. Simply see it as evidence of what you no longer accept. And instead of struggling against it, relax into your new state. Feel the ease of wealth. Feel the certainty of abundance. Feel the power of knowing your millionaire life is not coming. It's already here. You are not becoming rich. You are remembering that you are. You are waking up to your true nature, your birthright. You were never meant to struggle for scraps while holding visions of luxury in your mind. That inner image is your truth. That's why it keeps appearing. It's a signal from your deeper self, reminding you what you already are. And when you accept it fully, the outer world bends to reflect it. It cannot do otherwise. Do not confuse patience with delay. You are not waiting. You are being. Being is not passive. Being is the most active force in the universe. When you choose to be a millionaire now, the unseen gears of the cosmos begin moving on your behalf. Circumstances shift. People appear. Ideas flow. Resources find you. Why? Because they must. The outer world is clay, and your inner state is the mold. You don't need to figure it out. That's the old way. You simply need to remain in the feeling of already having it, already being it, already living it. Let your imagination be your dwelling place. And while the world tells you to be realistic, you smile quietly because you know reality is following your inner acceptance, not the other way around. Feel it. Right now, what would it feel like to know without doubt that your millionaire life is underway, that you are already that person? Not someone who wants to be wealthy, but someone who is. You don't need to know how it's coming. That's not your job. Your only job is to accept it, to rest in it, to walk as if it were so, because it is. You will notice a calmness replacing anxiety, a softness in your tone, a gentleness in your actions. There's no more need to prove anything. No more need to chase or convince. You are what you once hoped to be, and because of that, everything aligns naturally. People begin to treat you differently without knowing why. Opportunities open, and most importantly, you begin to feel peace. Not because something outside changed, but because you did. The world is a mirror. It does not create. It reflects. So if you wish to see a new world, you must first hold a new image. And that image must not be a wish, it must be a fact to you. A settled knowing, just as you know your name, you now know your wealth. You no longer affirm it to become it, you affirm it because it's who you are. It's already so. Every time your mind tries to revert to the old story, reject it. Lovingly, gently, but firmly. Say to yourself, that's no longer me. I've moved on. I live in the now, and in my now, I am already a millionaire. Speak it quietly, but with conviction. Repeat it not to convince, but to confirm. You're not trying to make it happen, you're enjoying that it already has. The world may test you. It may try to lure you back into doubt, lack, and logic. But you're wiser now. You see through appearances. You know that what you feel to be true becomes true. So you hold to your state, not with tension, but with relaxation. With the ease of someone who has arrived, not someone who's still striving. That is the key. To feel you already have what you desire, is to activate the reality where that desire is your normal life. You are not hoping anymore. You are not wishing, you are being. And being is the creative force of the universe. What you accept as real within, becomes real without. The world is not separate from you, it is you. It is your consciousness made visible. And as your consciousness changes, so does the world. You don't need more hustle. You don't need more information. You simply need to trust the inner shift, that silent yes within you, that says this is who I am now. Don't wait for confirmation, be the confirmation. Live the inner wealth so richly that the outer world cannot help but keep pace. You are not the effect, you are the cause. And every day, as you wake up, remind yourself, the millionaire version of me is already alive, already real, already expressing. And I now align myself with that truth. I feel it. I rest in it, I walk in it, I think from it. And because I do, all things are drawn to me in harmony with that state. I no longer beg reality to change, I show reality who I am, and it follows. This is not about arrogance, it's about quiet certainty. You don't need to shout it from rooftops. You simply need to know it within, and that knowing will speak louder than any words. Others will sense it, not because you told them, but because energy does not lie. You carry the vibration of wealth now, and the universe responds accordingly. You are not on the way to success, you are success. You are not preparing to be rich, you are rich. You are not working to get there, you're already there. And because you now identify with that version of yourself, everything unlike it falls away. Let it be easy, let it be natural, let it be yours, not in the future, but now. Accept it not as a dream to chase, but as a fact to enjoy. You are wealthy now, you are abundant now, you are supported now. And as you move through the world, with that inner posture, the outer world arranges itself accordingly. Everything begins with acceptance. So accept it now, not with effort, but with surrender, not with force, but with peace. The moment you say yes to the truth of who you really are, the game changes. And your millionaire life, which was waiting quietly in the wings, steps fully into view, not because you made it happen, but because you finally allowed it. There is no need to constantly remind yourself of what you already are. The tree does not struggle to grow leaves when spring arrives. It simply expresses what it is. In the same way, you no longer force yourself into wealth, you express wealth, because you are now one with it. You no longer affirm from lack, but from abundance. You're not trying to become, you are revealing what has always been inside you, quietly waiting for your acceptance. The world may still speak in the language of delay, of not yet, of prove it first. But you smile, because you've seen beyond the veil. You understand that this life responds not to effort alone, but to assumption, to imagination, to identity. And now, you have chosen a new identity, one that matches the truth of your soul. You are not the version of yourself who struggles, you are the one who flows. You are not the one who hopes, you are the one who knows. When you walk into a room, the energy shifts, not because you try to impress, but because you carry certainty. You carry presence. You carry the inner echo of someone who has already arrived. And others feel it, even if they can't explain it. That is the power of alignment. That is the force of unseen conviction. You do not need to shout it from the rooftops, your energy speaks for you. And the world begins to mirror that power back to you, through opportunities, through recognition, through open doors that were once invisible. You now see money, not as something separate from you, but as something that flows through you. It's not a stranger anymore, it's a familiar friend. It's not hard to find. It's simply drawn to the vibration you maintain, and you no longer obsess over how or when it arrives, because you know it already has. The outer numbers simply play catch-up. You don't check the mirror to see if your face exists, you already know it's there. That's how you now see wealth. You don't look outside for proof, you feel it inside as fact. This inner shift is permanent, if you allow it. The only thing that ever pulled you back was doubt, and even doubt was a habit, not a truth. Now you've replaced doubt with knowing, with a gentle awareness that doesn't need to force anything. You live in the atmosphere of answered prayer, not the tension of unanswered wishes. You are no longer waiting, you are living, and life responds accordingly. When others ask how you're doing, you don't have to say much. Your calm presence, your relaxed demeanor, your joyful energy already speak volumes. And what they feel is not arrogance, it's the result of someone who is aligned. Someone who has accepted their wealth, not as a goal, but as a state. And it is the most natural thing in the world. What once felt far away now feels obvious. What once seemed impossible now feels inevitable. Because the truth has taken root, and truth, when accepted, always bears fruit. You now understand why things didn't work before. You were trying to act wealthy while feeling poor. You were saying the right words but still seeing yourself as someone who didn't have. And now you've reversed the order. You feel it first. You live from the inside out. And because of that, your words now carry weight. Your actions now carry power. You no longer react. You create. You no longer chase. You attract. Because that is the nature of the one who accepts they already are. You've let go of timelines. You're not counting the days. You're not asking when. You're simply living it now. That's the magic. That's the secret. Not effort. Not waiting, but acceptance. Acceptance is the doorway. It's not passive. It's powerful. It's the moment you stop asking and start receiving. It's the moment you stop hoping and start knowing. And everything bends in your favor from that point forward. When you sit in silence now, you don't beg. You don't plead. You commune with your reality as if it's already here. You speak with gratitude, not with desperation. You walk through your day as someone who has, not someone who needs. And this new posture brings everything to you in ways that are effortless and often unexpected. Why? Because you're finally in harmony. You're finally aligned. You've stopped resisting the good that was always trying to reach you. Your inner conversations have changed. No longer filled with worry or fear, they are now rich with assurance. You say things to yourself like, of course this opportunity will work out. Of course I'm supported. Of course I'm wealthy. And these are not delusions. They are inner agreements with your higher self. And because you persist in them, they become outer experiences. Because this world is always listening, not to your words, but to your state. You no longer seek proof. You give it. You are the evidence of abundance. You are the walking, talking embodiment of what once seemed like a dream. And you no longer try to justify your wealth. You simply accept it. You no longer shrink yourself to fit in. You expand, and others rise to meet you. You don't have to lower your frequency. You stay high, and you become a magnet for everything that matches. Your new life didn't start the moment money arrived. It started the moment you accepted it had already arrived. Everything else is just a reflection of that moment of inner agreement. And if ever you find yourself drifting back into old thoughts, gently return. Don't panic. Don't fight. Just say, I remember who I am, and shift. Because now you understand, reality is fluid. The moment you shift within, it begins shifting without. You no longer get excited about temporary wins. You are rooted in lasting abundance. The lottery ticket, the business deal, the client, the idea, they are not your source. They are channels. You've connected to the source, and that source never runs dry. You're no longer impressed by the symbols of wealth. You carry the substance. And from that substance, more symbols naturally appear. There's nothing to chase anymore. What you used to run after now walks toward you. What once eluded you now seeks you, because you've become the thing you once wanted. You've embodied, the energy of wealth. And because of that, wealth cannot help but express itself through your life. People may ask what changed. They may want your strategy, your method, your step-by-step plan. And while you could give them tools, the real answer is simple. I accepted it, I became it within, I walked in it before it was visible, I lived in the unseen, and the seen followed. That's the real shift. That's the real secret. And now that you live it, you can never go back. You walk differently now, not with haste, but with intention. You speak differently, not to convince, but to confirm. You breathe differently, not with stress, but with calm expectation. This is the transformation that no one may see at first, but everyone will feel. It is subtle, but it is undeniable. You've chosen a new frequency, and now, everything that vibrates in harmony with that frequency begins to appear. You don't chase, it simply unfolds. And the beautiful part is that you no longer need constant reassurance. You are your own evidence now. You don't need to look to others to validate your direction. You no longer feel the urge to compare yourself, because the wealth you carry is not measured against others. It's yours. It's personal. It's perfect. It fits you. And because you have claimed it inwardly, it now seeks expression outwardly through the path of least resistance. You've dropped resistance, you've dropped questioning, you've dropped waiting. And in their place, you've installed trust. Trust not in something out there, but in the truth you hold within. You trust the feeling of already having. You trust the vision that keeps repeating itself in your imagination, not as fantasy, but as blueprint. You trust that if it's alive inside you, it's meant to live outside of you too. And with that trust comes freedom. You're not watching the clock anymore. You're not obsessing over how long it will take. You've stepped out of time and into eternity, where the feeling is now, the state is now, the experience is now. And because you live there mentally and emotionally, time in the physical must adjust itself to your conviction. What took years for others may take weeks for you, not because you're lucky, but because you're in alignment. You understand now that things happen fast when there is no resistance. And resistance only exists when we say it isn't real yet. But you don't say that anymore. You've made your wealth real by being it, living it, breathing it, knowing it. And so time compresses. The outer world bends to your inner timeline. And all those moments you spent wondering, waiting, doubting, they dissolve. Because you no longer need them. And there's no need to prove this to anyone. The results will speak for you. The evidence will show up, but you don't wait for it to feel secure. You are secure now, and the evidence is simply the echo of your inner security. You live from fulfillment, not for it. And that is why it flows so easily now. You notice now that your thoughts are different. Your self-talk has shifted. Where once you asked, can this really happen for me? Now you say, of course it's happening, it's already done. Where once you said, I hope it works out, now you say, it always works out for me. These words are not just positive, they are powerful. They are declarations, they are agreements. And every agreement you make with your future self rewrites the script of your current reality. You now see why the struggle was never necessary. It wasn't the world holding you back, it was your permission. And now that you've given yourself full permission to be rich, to be successful, to be elevated, the universe has no choice but to honor it. The only authority that ever mattered was your own. And now that you've crowned yourself as worthy, the outer kingdom adjusts to the inner royalty. You've stopped looking at what is, and you've started looking from what is becoming. That's why you're no longer shaken by temporary appearances. That's why the bank balance no longer scares you. That's why the delay no longer discourages you. Because you know it's all catching up to the inner image. And that image is clear. It's strong. It's unshakable. It's you. There's a rhythm now, a confidence, a steadiness. Not loud, not aggressive, just undeniable. And that's what real power feels like. You don't need to shout about it. You simply live it. And in doing so, you draw everything to you. People, ideas, solutions, miracles, they come not because you chased, but because you aligned. And alignment is magnetic. You remember the days when you were waiting for something to happen before you could feel good. Now you feel good, and things happen because of it. You remember when you thought success had to be earned by suffering. Now you know success flows naturally when you believe you already have it. You remember when you thought you needed more education, more connections, more strategy. Now you know all of that is secondary. What you really needed was acceptance. And now that you have it, everything else takes care of itself. This feeling of wealth is not fleeting. It is a home, a state, a decision, and as you continue to rest in it, to live from it, the scenery around you begins to change. People treat you differently. Money shows up more easily. Time expands. Your creativity increases. Your clarity sharpens. And none of this is accidental. It is the fruit of a new identity, a new inner world, a new relationship with self. And that relationship is sacred now. You don't violate it by doubting, you protect it by trusting, you nurture it by returning to it again and again until it becomes your natural way of being. And soon it's no longer something you do, it's just who you are. And the outer world, ever obedient, simply reflects what you've made your home in consciousness. You now walk through life as a receiver, not a beggar, not a chaser, but a receiver. You understand that the universe wants to give, but it only gives to those who allow themselves to receive. And receiving doesn't mean doing more. It means being more, being available, being open, being in harmony with what's already yours. You are no longer limited by what others see. You are guided by what you know. You are no longer trapped by the five senses. You are led by the sixth inner vision, inner awareness, inner truth. And that truth is louder now than any outside noise. That truth is stronger now than any outside condition. That truth is everything. Now you see how little effort it really takes. Not because you're idle, but because you're finally moving from the right place. You're not pushing against the world anymore. You're allowing the world to flow around you, to you and through you. You're not resisting life, you're dancing with it. And that's when everything accelerates. Not because you forced it, but because you surrendered the struggle and stepped fully into the version of yourself that has already won. You feel it in your body now. The calmness, the certainty, the quiet knowing that doesn't waver. No matter what comes, you finally crossed the line in your mind. You no longer ask for permission to be wealthy. You've given it to yourself. And in doing so, you've activated something ancient and powerful. Your natural inheritance, your divine right to live in abundance, ease, joy, and overflow. You speak differently to yourself now. Your inner dialogue is no longer critical, fearful, or doubtful. It is supportive, empowering, loving. Every word you speak within becomes a seed, and because you're sowing from the soil of self-worth, the harvest is inevitable. You've realized that every assumption creates, every feeling creates, and so you've become conscious of your inner world, curating it with the same care and precision as a sculptor shapes clay. Because you know that what you dwell in emotionally, the world must reflect physically. There's no panic anymore when things seem still. You know stillness is not absence, it's incubation. It's the space before the bloom. And because you've shifted your state, you know that the manifestation is already forming in the unseen. You are no longer shaken by the illusion of lack. You recognize it for what it is, a shadow of your old self. And you simply keep walking, rooted in your new reality. Your faith is no longer a fragile thing. It's become your foundation. You don't need signs to believe. You believe, and signs follow. You don't need results to feel rich. You feel rich and results follow. You've reversed the cycle, you've cracked the code, and what once felt like a mystery is now your natural way of life. This isn't just about money anymore. It's about identity. It's about embodying the essence of wealth in every breath you take. It's about knowing that everything you need is already within you. The ideas, the timing, the connections, the wisdom. You no longer reach outward. You reach inward. And from that place of deep inner fullness, the world begins to bend, stretch, and organize itself around your truth. People might wonder how you're doing it, how you're so calm, so certain, so magnetic, and you may not even have words to explain it, because it's not something you do. It's something you are. You've let go of needing to hustle for every inch, and instead you've stepped into a life where things unfold naturally and rapidly. Not because you're special, but because you finally realized you are the source. And now everything comes. Not because you're striving, but because you're still. Not because you're manipulating, but because you're aligned. And that alignment has become your greatest asset. You've become the lighthouse, not the boat chasing the storm. You stand firm, radiating a signal so strong that everything meant for you follows that light back to your shore. This shift is permanent now, because you've made it home. You don't visit this state of wealth. You live in it. You don't peek in once a week during meditation. You wake up in it. You don't just visualize, you occupy. And because of that, life doesn't trickle in. It overflows. You don't just get what you need, you receive what matches your identity. And your identity is abundance. It's almost humorous now. How long you believed you had to earn this. How long you thought you weren't ready, weren't worthy, weren't capable. And now you laugh. Not with mockery, but with relief. Because you see how close it always was. Not in the future, not after the next level, but now, waiting for you to simply say, yes, this is who I am. And with that yes, the path revealed itself. The doors opened, the fear dissolved, the flow returned. Because you didn't need a breakthrough. You needed a breakthrough in awareness. And now that you've had it, the world cannot help but comply. You've realized that reality doesn't need convincing. It needs consistency, not in effort, but in identity. And now you live consistently as the millionaire version of yourself. You no longer dip in and out of the state. You no longer treat it as a costume you wear for a few minutes a day. It has become your skin. It has become your baseline. It has become your truth. And everything in your life is now rearranging to match this unshakable inner stance. This is why opportunities are starting to feel easier. Why money seems to come from places you didn't expect. Why things that used to require intense struggle now unfold with grace. It isn't magic. It's alignment. It's the natural outpouring of a consciousness that no longer argues with its own greatness. You've stopped resisting your own light, and now your world is reflecting it. You've also stopped explaining yourself. You've stopped justifying why you want more, why you expect more, why you live from a higher standard. You no longer seek validation because you've already given it to yourself. And that self-validation has become the root system from which everything else grows. You are grounded in the truth of who you are. And from that grounded place, your abundance blossoms. And even on the days when you feel off balance, you return faster. You don't spiral. You don't collapse. You remember. You breathe. You step back in. Because you've built a relationship with this state, and like any strong relationship, it welcomes you back with open arms. That's the difference now. You no longer fear losing the feeling because you've made it home. Every word you speak now carries the vibration of completion, not of waiting, not of striving, not of reaching, but of already being, already having, already living. And the universe knows the difference. Life responds not to what you say, but to what you mean. And your meaning is clear now. Your inner posture is stable. Your signal is strong. You are finally speaking the language of certainty. And certainty creates quickly. Your surroundings are beginning to reflect your new assumption. Maybe not all at once, but definitely, undeniably. The small shifts, the little surprises, the tiny confirmations, they're all footprints of the state you've chosen. And you know they're just the beginning. You've stopped asking how long will it take, and you've started living as though it's already here. That is the shift that changes everything. You've stopped checking. You've stopped measuring. You've stopped trying to force results. You're not watching the pot boil anymore. You've walked away knowing the water is already heating, and soon the steam will rise. You've stopped looking at the clock. You're too busy living in the now where wealth is already yours. You're not in waiting, you're in receiving. And receiving doesn't require effort. It requires trust. You now see clearly that manifestation is not about doing more. It's about being more. It's about fully embodying the frequency of what you've chosen. It's about living from the reality that you used to chase. And because you live from it, that reality must come. The outer world must give form to the formless truth you've nurtured within. And so the fear fades, the tension releases, the doubt dissolves, and in their place peace, joy, gratitude. Not the gratitude of hope, but the gratitude of certainty. You're not saying thank you. In advance you're saying thank you, because you already feel the wealth surrounding you. You already feel the doors opening. You already feel the life unfolding just as you imagined. And better. You see now that it was never about waiting for the universe. The universe was always waiting for you to drop the doubt, waiting for you to shed the struggle, waiting for you to fully own what was always yours. And now that you have, there's nothing left to do but walk in it, live it, own it, rest in it. Because when you rest in a state, you lock it in. And what is locked in must be expressed. This is the beginning of the rest of your life. A life not filled with striving but fulfillment. A life not built on fear but certainty. A life where abundance is no longer a goal, it's a given. You wake up every morning knowing who you are. You move through the day with the ease of someone who's already received. And you go to sleep in the energy of completion. That cycle of living in the end over and over is what keeps the flow alive. And now even the smallest things feel different. You notice beauty where you once saw burden. You feel supported where you once felt alone. You expect good news where you once anticipated problems. Your entire nervous system has recalibrated to a new default abundance. And because of that, your outer world feels lighter, more fluid, less like a battlefield, more like a garden. You finally stopped planting seeds of fear and started tending to the seeds of wealth, worthiness, and well-being. You no longer obsess over outcomes, because you've made peace with the process. You understand that outcomes are inevitable when your inner world is saturated with truth, and your truth now is unshakable. You are rich, successful, powerful, and supported, not someday but now. You live in the vibration of already having, already being, already enjoying, and that vibration has become so real to you that the world has no choice but to match it. Even when old circumstances try to resurface, you no longer panic. You see them for what they are. Echoes, traces of a version of you that no longer exists. And instead of reacting, you relax. You smile. You say, I don't live there anymore. You reaffirm your new identity. Not out of fear but out of joy. Because it feels good to live from the truth. It feels natural now. It feels like home. You see people struggling and you no longer feel envy or frustration. You feel compassion. Because you've been there. You know what it feels like to believe that life is happening to you. And now that you've remembered life happens through you, you feel nothing but peace, nothing but appreciation. You don't feel superior, you feel grateful. And from that gratitude, your blessings multiply. You find yourself spending less time explaining and more time enjoying. You don't need to convince anyone of your new state. You live it and your life becomes the message. You let others talk about scarcity. You breathe abundance. You let others compete. You create. You let others worry. You walk in knowing. Because you finally trust yourself more than the outer noise. You trust the feeling more than the facts. You trust the vibration more than the visible. And that trust has become your foundation. You've stopped waiting for a reason to celebrate. Now you celebrate because it reinforces the state. You celebrate because you know you're already living in the energy of completion. And that celebration becomes fuel. It becomes the music of your manifestation. Not because you're pretending, but because you're finally aligned with the version of you who already has. You've made the future irrelevant by bringing it into the now. You no longer fantasize. You familiarize. You no longer reach, you receive. You no longer try. You allow. Because the work is already done in consciousness. And since consciousness is the only reality, the world has no option but to follow. Now you can't even remember the last time you felt desperate. That energy doesn't live in your field anymore. It has no home here. What replaced it is calm, ease, quiet confidence. You finally come to terms with your greatness, and it feels like exhaling after holding your breath for years. You've stopped shrinking, stopped apologizing, stopped dimming. Now you shine, not to impress but to express, because this is who you are. And wealth is your natural state. Each moment you are reaffirming the truth with your presence alone. Your walk, your energy, your smile, they all carry the vibration of someone who knows their life is already handled, already designed, already flowing. You're not in survival mode. You're in creator mode. And that shift changes the way you wake up, the way you speak, the way you give, the way you receive. You've moved from chasing money to becoming the source of it. You've moved from waiting to welcoming, from doubting to declaring. And because you live in that space so consistently now, life begins to feel enchanted, synchronized, aligned in a way that can only be described as magical. But it's not magic. It's truth. The kind of truth that doesn't require belief once it's experienced. And you are living that experience now, moment by moment, breath by breath. So now you stand at the edge of a life you no longer hope for. You live it. You no longer wait for the signs. You are the sign. Your millionaire life isn't a wish, it isn't a dream, it isn't a possibility. It is a present fact. And because you finally accepted it, the universe had no choice but to respond. Everything you once longed for is already yours in consciousness, and because of that, it must materialize in form. This is not the end of your journey, it's the beginning of your reign. Walk as the one who has. Speak as the one who owns. Think as the one who knows. Because now you do. Your millionaire life has already begun. And the only thing left to do is enjoy it.